Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, I guess, at this point. It's so good to see you all back for session 2. I'm Meredith, and welcome. Today we are taking the next steps in our emotional wellness with Robyn Gisbert, who's a doctor of physical therapy, and she's going to be chatting with us about nervous system regulation 101. So I'm really excited to have her here today. And I also just wanted to take a moment to thank Kylie and Boston Scientific, who have helped to sponsor today's program. And so if you have any questions, information out front, and Kylie's in the back. And I also just want to say thank you for all of those that donated to help us make today possible. So thank you for your support. And it's wonderful, everybody in person and online. You should have the handout in the chat. So take a minute if you haven't found it there. If you're joining us virtually, and you guys have the handouts on your tables. And if you need any coffee, tea, water, just wave a hand. And then restrooms, if you haven't already found them, are just down the hallway. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Robyn, thanks.
All right. Yay. Yay. Oh my gosh, it's so nice to see everybody. I see some familiar faces, meeting some new faces, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks, Meredith. Gosh, we go back a long time. We met Meredith many years ago, pre-pandemic. Remember those days? Me too. Me too. My name is Robyn Gisbert. I am a physical therapist of 30 years. 30 years been working in physical therapy, mostly with people with neurologic conditions and mostly people with Parkinson's. In my early career, I did research around exercise and the benefit of exercise with Parkinson's. And I've also spent the last 20 years at the University of Colorado teaching physical therapy students, physicians, nurses, physician's assistants, you name it. And I absolutely have loved my work. Along the way, I started to really notice and allow myself to notice that a person's health condition, while physical therapy is important and exercise matters and physical activity matters, and I am not here to say that that's not true, but I've come to really understand this idea of wholeness. Not just about our physical bodies. We have lots of other things that affect our state of wellness or wholeness. So I add a lot of training along the way. I'm a certified compassion fatigue provider. That means that I'm trained to help people navigate their emotional feelings of caring for others. That's hard, whether you're a mom with a lot of kids and you get tired of caring. I can see some head nods. That's right, mom. Or a nurse or a doctor or a companion to somebody who's struggling with their own health issues. I also trained at the Mayo Clinic, and I'm a national board certified health and wellness coach. And I'm really enjoying this phase of my life where we can be focused more on humaning and wellness than just illness. And maybe when the worlds collide, we get some of the best results. I now have a private practice. I'm with Green Tree Mind, and we have a program called Nervous System Ninja. My ninja cat. I don't know if you can see that online, but it's a cat who's a ninja, two of my favorite things. Because a nervous system ninja is someone who can become so aware of their internal state that they can feel calm, confident, courageous, capable in the face of the uns of life. Like the unexpected diagnosis, like the unwanted stack of medical bills, like the unsavory comment from a partner, like the unknown of a pandemic, or the uncertainty of the future of your enterprise. So someone who can feel confident in the face of uncertainty. That's a ninja, a nervous system ninja, this nervous system inside of us. I'd like to hear from the very beginning a little bit from some of you. What do you hope to gain by being at this talk or any of these talks or all of these talks on emotional wellness? I mean, right? You overcome inertia, you signed up, you got here, you place yourself in a chair, you're here, you've got to have a why. Knowledge. Okay. I don't know where that came from. Funny. I was like, knowledge. Who said that? You want knowledge. You want to know more. Okay. Camaraderie. That speaks to me because I'm a true believer we're not meant to do hard things alone.
Comparison of symptoms and what's typical or not typical.
So some mirrors and some shared experience with people. Knowledge, shared experience, camaraderie. What else do you hope to gain?
Insights on how to handle things.
Insights on how to handle things.
Be less reactive.
Be less reactive. Oh, like I think about how reactive I can be sometimes, almost like a reflex. Somebody says something or someone cuts me off in traffic and there's that reflex. And if we could dial down that reactivity and have a response. I like to separate that word responsibility into two words. My response ability. My ability to respond instead of react. So boy, I relate to that one. Encouragement on a hard road. Yeah. We're walking hard roads. All of us probably in some way, or if we're not right now, we've probably walked some hard roads and maybe even have some anxiety or premonition or forecasting of a hard road to come. That can be, yeah.
Being able to tell.
Being able to tell when you're in trouble. And wouldn't it be nice if we could tell sooner than later, after all the aftermath of like, oh man, there was that warning sign. These are, imagine even some, shared desire in the room of some of the things that you've heard. It'd be beautiful. When you think about the uns of life, the unwanted, the uncertain, the unexpected that you might react to, the unclear, the uns of life. How confident are you? No judgment, but kind of reflect. And you can even write it down if you want. My confidence level from 1 to 10, with 1 not being confident and 10 being I'm a superhero, I'm a black belt ninja. How confident are you in dealing with the uns of life? It's just a measure right now, not a character flaw. Right. And it might even depend on the context, right? On a good day, I got this. And maybe on a day where my medication's not working and my car didn't start and and I lost my phone, right? Then this starts to spiral downward. I really appreciate that context. Yeah. We're going to be talking today a little bit about mindset. And I like to frame this, and there's 2 types of mindsets. There's a rigid mindset. And we all probably have an image of what that's like, somebody who has a rigid mindset. This is awful. Why is this happening? It's never going to get better. This sucks. Sometimes that's true. And then there's the adaptable or flexible mindset. And a flexible mindset is a mindset that can get really curious. And we'll get curious about a couple things today. We're going to get curious about, where am I? That sounds kind of like a funny question, but where am I? What's really my state at this moment in time? And the way I like to do this, you all have these meters. Hi, welcome, by the way. I hope you're not shy, because I'm going to say hi to you as you walk in. That's unexpected, right? We're going to be using these mood meters that you have, and you should have one on your handout and maybe some separate ones that are a little bigger, because I know eyesight, I can't see anything without my special readers. Do we have extra handouts? Great, great. Yeah. Thank you. Let me know if I missed anything. So we're just getting some handouts distributed in the room for those of you online. And people are pulling up and kind of taking a peek at these mood meters, colorful graphic. And I have one of those up here too. This isn't new information. This is a repeat in a larger form to what you all have. I want to share just a little bit about this mood meter. This mood meter is built off of this. I've adapted this from Mark Brackett's work. And I just wanted to show the book this came from, because I think it's an amazing, amazing piece of work. This is called Permission to Feel. This is from Mark Brackett. He's an emotional scientist from the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. And I've read this book and I've listened to it. It's a good reading. He reads it on Audible. And just like it says, this is a book that really helped me find permission to feel. Mark Brackett, you're welcome to pass that around. Yeah. In the emotional research literature, Brene Brown's another emotional researcher. Yeah, there's some recognition of her name. Brene Brown, in her original research, she found that most Americans can name 3 emotions. Most Americans can name 3 emotions: happy, sad, mad. Happy, sad, mad. It's not a very colorful palette, happy, sad, mad. Those of you who have children, toddlers have a lot of happy, sad, mad. My inner toddler has a lot of happy, sad, mad. But Mark Brackett's work is this permission to get really curious about our feeling states, tools to label our feeling states, and some courage to start sharing them. When we know our inner feeling state, where we know our landscape and where we are, it's only then that we might be able to get to where we want. If we can recognize things before it's too late, we might have more choice, control, compassion for ourselves and other people. So take a look at your map. This is a cool way, in my opinion, because it lets us examine ourselves without so much judgment. I loved Stephen last week talked about shame and just the weight of shame. But we're just going to talk some numbers here today. Just the facts and only the facts, sir. And the first question I'm going to ask you about is, how much energy is in you right now? Just about energy. Is your energy tank? Is it low? Is it medium? Is it high? And you just give it a number. Don't think too much, but a number of your energy between 1 and 10. How much energy is in me? At this moment, knowing in a new moment, we can be in a different expression of ourselves. Where's your energy? And the second question that we ask is, how pleasant is that energy? High pleasant, medium pleasant, low pleasant? Just curious, just an observation. And kind of get your numbers first. Where were your numbers? Energy, pleasant. And then step 2, once you kind of graph that out, go ahead and take a look at your other mood meter that has the words superimposed on it. And now we're going to move out of our left brain, the number system, into a brain that includes language, vocabulary. And see if those words match up. Sometimes they're right on, sometimes they're in the ballpark. Sometimes they're not close at all. That's okay too. But take a look find your words. And now that you've located your amount, how pleasant, or how much energy, how pleasant, and you've got some words lined up in there, challenge by choice. If you're willing, share your landscape with someone. Tell someone else where you are and let someone else tell you where they landed, knowing that it can change. Be willing to share if you are. That was a sheepish smile. It takes some courage to share. Or a moment. When people are sharing their words, you can share them in the chat if you like, if you're online. And I'm going to circulate just a little bit and see what I hear. These words are small for you all.
Oh, yeah, especially when we're old and senile.
Well, these are too small for me. There's bigger maps somewhere. Do we have bigger maps, Meredith? Okay, if we have bigger maps, it helps. If not, you can give me your location and I'll translate for you. These words are so small. Oh, I love how you're asking that. So this original map, I didn't share this with the whole group, but this original map was just primary colors, dark like blue, primary blue, red, green, yellow. And we adapted this map to give it that kind of ombre or that gradient, because that's how life is, right? We don't go from being devastated to being joyful at the drop of a hat. We have a process. So the emotional gradient. And I'm sorry this is so faded. I sent some bigger ones.
We can make the most of them.
And I can translate any of them. So I've got a big poster up here. So if anyone's having trouble with their words, give me your gradient, your location, and I'll read them. Last thing I want you to do is strain your eyeballs. So let's check in. What was that like? What was that like? This is just one path. Boy, those words are small. So if anybody needs translation, I've got big. I had to make them this big for my eyes. So let me help you if you are having trouble. And I'd love to hear, what was that like? You located how much energy, how pleasant. You landed on a color, some words. Maybe they matched, maybe they didn't. I'm curious. What was that like? It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense when you cannot make a logical intersection of the two numbers.
So did your numbers?
One overlaps into another group. So it was confusing.
Would you be willing to share where you were? Judith, I'm putting you on the spot. I know Judith, so we're not strangers. We're old friends. Hope there's trust there.
So at ease and thoughtful.
At ease and thoughtful.
And they're in the same quadrant. What does it mean?
Well, we're not one-dimensional people. Yeah.
Right.
So I heard at ease.
Yes.
And I heard thoughtful.
Right.
So what I'm hearing, it sounds like you have some pleasant, low energy.
At the moment, yes. That's accurate.
It sounds like a comfortable place to be. Amen.
I'm focused and calm, other than my right hand is taking too much. Oh, I'm focused and calm.
You feel focused and calm. What color does that line up with for you?
Well, it's yellow and light green.
So these are pretty pleasant states for you.
Yeah, it's good right now.
Yeah, this word right now. So she said she was in kind of focused and calm. I said that, it's kind of pleasant. Yeah, for right now, because everything's going to change. Now, here's the next question I like to ask. I know the words are small, so I'm just going to anchor us a little bit. Blue, low energy, unpleasant. This is low, unpleasant energy. Nothing wrong with it. It's part of life. But this might be lonely, sad, in its deepest expression, that pit of despair, hopelessness. Blue, red, high energy and unpleasant. Think about that. Sympathetic fight or flight. This is nervousness. This is agitation. And a real extreme thing, it might even be outbursts of rage or panic attack. But red is high energy. You can see it in me. Yeah, this is high energy. My muscles get tight. I don't want to stay here too long. I'm going to move over into yellow, which is also high energy, but it's pleasant. It's the surprise party you're glad to get. Happy, it's playful. And green, this is a lower energy, and it's a comfortable or pleasant low energy. This is where we might feel restful. Some people say blessed. Artists will often talk about this green zone. I'm in the flow, I'm in the zone. Just I'm present and everything's at ease and it's all working my way. That Blue Skies, that song doesn't make sense now. Hearing those 4 quadrants, here's a question I'm curious about. Which zone, I know we talked about right now, but what's your most familiar quadrant? May not be one you like. It may not be one you want. It may not be one you're proud of. It might be uncomfortable. But I'm curious, where have you been living a lot of your time?
We can live mostly in the green zone around the chill area. However, a lot to get me up into the red, the irritated, and the somewhat annoyed.
So green. It sounds like you can really be in green. You can get elevated up and over to red, but you can feel that irritation. Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm depressed or anything, but I failed to see the word depressed anywhere on here. Is it?
It's here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. It's that low. It's a kind of a low and not particularly pleasant.
No, it's not pleasant. Thank you.
Others, what's a familiar place for you? No judgment. That's your familiar place? It's an upbeat group. I got to tell you, I do this work one-on-one with people, and it's often, these are the familiar zones I hear from people a lot. I'm stressed, I'm over it, I'm irritated, I'm overwhelmed, I'm tired, I'm worried, I'm dealing with grief.
Red, high energy, unpleasant. Yes.
This is
Distressed.
Familiar lately.
Oh, and Ken Lynn online says high energy as well is where they spend their time.
Oh,
Did you want to repeat it?
Yeah, Judith, I love that you're bringing that up, because I think what's true is this is wholeness. This is wholeness. This is life. If I chart my journey today, boy, I woke up tired and fatigued, and I went right into concerned. I forgot to submit that last night. And I go down and I pet my cats and I fall back down into green. And I hear a good song on the radio and I'm yellow. And I sat with somebody on a one-on-one coaching session who was really, really uncomfortable with what was going on with their life. Joined them briefly here because it was overwhelming. And then we found our way back to green. I don't know what's coming next.
That coincides with personality. Like some personalities are more positive and some people are more negative. Does that coincide with it at all?
Yeah, I love that question. So the question's about how does this coincide with personality? That some people just come across like a positive personality, and some people like a more like pessimistic personality, optimism, pessimism. Probably, I'm not so sure. One of the things I like about this model is we're just talking about energy and how pleasant it feels. With a belief that it's all okay. It's all okay. And it's all going to change and it's all changeable.
My daytime and nighttime are completely different. I think I live in the yellow during the day.
Uh-huh.
And when I wake up overnight, start thinking about all the bad things.
Oh.
Thoughts.
Oh.
Definitely so. You wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and those thoughts, they come from every direction. It's nice if you can shoo them away, you know? I try to shoo them away.
So some comments coming from the room, and I want to repeat them for this online group and respond to them. But Gary, right, said, wow, I noticed that during the day, I'm kind of walking around during the day, really living in this yellow zone. Pretty upbeat, feels pretty good. And then there's this nighttime expression of yourself, waking up, racing thoughts, everything kind of sounded like you were feeling overwhelmed. And feeling scared. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there were some other people in the room that were resonating with that. Yeah, these thoughts come at night and then you start to feel scared. And that sounds like pretty high energy, unpleasant. Not very congruent with the kind of energy you need and want for sleep, is it? Mm-hmm. The way that our brains work with feelings and thoughts, I want to say two things. First, our bodies, for every feeling and thought that we experience, our body has a motor response or a physical response. This is called an emotional motor program. So when I'm in worry, not because you shouldn't be, not because there's any shame in that, but when I'm in worry, there is an increase in heart rate, there's an increase in muscle tension. This is just universal, it's how the body's designed. Some people sweat, we clench our jaw, we grind our teeth, different people with different expressions, our hands get tight. Ugh. So we have an emotional motor program for every emotion and feeling and thought we have. You can really see that in those little 3-year-olds we were talking about earlier, right? Happy is open, right? Sad is there's this drop of energy, and even eye contact. Sad is hard to make eye contact in. And mad is this all comes with a physiologic response. When you can super sleuth out, okay, where am I? If I can be really curious, honest, and dare I say accepting, like, okay, here I am. You know, Meredith, I'm just going to use you an example because you gave permission. You know, if I'm really in this, if I'm here and I don't name it, I'm living here. When I name it, We say name it to tame it. Name it to tame it. When I name it, the way the brain's wired in our emotional center, some of you might have heard of these little places called the amygdala. They're our fear center in our brain. They're there for survival. It's a good thing. It helps keep us safe and recognize danger. It's an evolutionary advantage. But sometimes we are caught up in stories of danger, and there's not an actual danger. There's not really a tiger here, but we think there's lots of tigers. When we name these unpleasant expressions of ourselves, when we name them, and the more accurate we can get, the better. When we can say, I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm frightened, I feel lonely. It actually quiets that fear center when we name it to tame it. It lessens the power of those emotions. The same thing is true when we notice, some of you, gosh, the joyful, calm, at ease, peaceful, when we notice pleasant things and we give them our attention, and when we share them with others, we stretch that out, we grow those positive circuits inside of our brain, and we quiet the amygdala. Naming it to tame it. There's a lot of power in that. I want to give you a couple tools in the time we have, a couple of tools that bring us. And now all of this is welcome. And by no means do I want anyone to think I'm supposed to be in green and I have to live in green, because not even the Hulk lives in green, right? He's green, right? All of this is real. There are sad things that are happening in all of our lives. There are scary things that are happening in all of our lives. At some point, when we can navigate our way by really knowing, where am I? And if we can navigate particularly down into this low, calm, pleasant state, this is where our best thinking comes from. This is where our memory is at its best. This is where relationships are at their best. This is where we can really take the time to hear someone instead of try to correct them. Oh my gosh, it's the human experience. Sarah, Meredith, this is light. This is all of us. It's where we do our best thinking. It's where we do our best relating. We make better decisions for ourselves and those that are in our care, for parents or caring for people. You know, the world opens up. And this is also the place where physiologically we breathe a little bigger and more easy. And we digest a little better. These are the physiological states of rest and digest, and where our parasympathetic or our reboot system can do its beautiful work that it's supposed to be able to do. So I want to give you a couple playful exercises and see what you think. So you're noticing where you are. You all look very thoughtful. I'm kind of an intense person. I talk about a lot of things. I like to talk about feelings a lot. I learned that when I was really little. Very lucky I grew up with Mr. Rogers on the television, but he might as well been holding my hand. I'm getting teary through my childhood because I believed him. I believed him when he told me your feelings are mentionable and therefore they're manageable. I like to talk about feelings. It's been my way to navigate my own complexities and grief and loss and things and tragedy in my own life. I want to give you a couple exercises. The first one's really fun to help us get into the green and grow the green in our lives. And it's humming. The exercise is just humming. We take a deep breath in and we hum. Hum. You can hum high or low or move it around. You all sound like a church choir. There's some good humming in here. When we hum, we're taking a breath in. By the act of humming, you're getting what's called an extended exhale, or a little longer exhale. That is like a jump start or a kick start to your relaxation system. So if you find yourself in these kind of worrying, worrying, or where your brain's whirring in, whir, in a worry state, humming is a way that you can dispel some of that high, uncomfortable energy and calm a little bit. Just humming. I think, what was that song? Whistle While You Work, right? That was they were onto something there. So humming. Now here's another one that I want to show you, and it's going to feel fun. I hope it feels fun to this group. And the other one I wanted to show you today is called shake and shift. Shake and shift. Animals, including humans, all mammals and animals, including humans, when they're under a lot of stress, they're being chased, like if a gazelle's being chased by a tiger, a cheetah, maybe. And they run and they run, they get in a fight or flight state, and they're running and running and running, much like we can get in our worries, and we run and run and we go and we go and we worry and we stress. And over time, if the gazelle does not feel successful that it can beat this cheetah, it will drop down into a freeze state. Overwhelm, shut down, collapse, disconnect. Does anybody have any relationship with that state of you just feel like, I'm going to check out, I'm done? Temporarily, just overwhelm. You felt that way at 4 o'clock this morning? Like just overwhelmed and kaput? Yeah. Sometimes people say they feel just like hopeless or stuck there. Like I give up. And not like not a healthy surrender, but I just, you felt that way. Anybody else identify with that state? A little bit, head nod. Yeah. Yeah. Well, animals are so intuitively wise, because an animal that's been under threat, it will shake and shake and shake. It has what's called a neurologic tremor. They shake. You might even seen your animals do this. They shake, and then they get on with their happy gazelle life, and they go and have a good day. But humans, for some reason, I guess it's our big brains, when we're under stress, we get under stress, we have a fight with our spouse, and we go, that was so frustrating. And then we get in our car and we bang our knee and we go, we say a curse word, if you're me. Then we get stuck in traffic. We're mad at traffic. And then we get out of the car and we drop our stuff. We're filtering all these negative emotions, but we haven't let them out of our body. Sigmund Freud, whether you agree with Sigmund Freud in whole or not, he said, and I believe him, unexpressed emotion never dies, it's buried in your body. So the exercise of shaking, and if you'll join me, you just shake, and you can shake any way you want. You can shake your tail feather, you can shake your hips, you can shake your head, shake your hands, shake, 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 shake. The more you shake, it's like everything else, right? The more you put in, the more you get out. Shake, 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 shake.
One of the things I'm scared of.
I know. I love it. I love it. I thank you for saying that, because I'm like, hey, I'm going to ask a group of people with Parkinson's to shake. You probably try not to shake, right? Yeah. What happens when you try not to shake? To work? Instead of shake. Oh, so you're telling me when you try to resist what's happening, it doesn't work, it persists? Go into it. Shake more. Say, I want to shake, I want to shake. I mean it. Say, I want to shake, I want to shake. Go into it and notice what happens to your body. Any observations from those of you that were shaking? There's a little bit of shaking. I don't know. Are you? Yeah, tingles, relax. Yeah. Yeah. So invitation to explore those, experiment with it. Experiment with humming, whatever you want to hum, and experiment with shaking. Going into the shaking, instead of saying, I don't want to shake, I'm not going to shake, it's sort of a physical way to be with the truth, right? You're shaking. It's truthful, you're shaking. It's okay, shake it out and see. We do know that for Parkinson's, people with Parkinson's, really all of us, when we can let go of some of that stress, our bodies move better, our bodies feel better. I'm checking the time because I get excited and talking about this stuff. Thoughts, questions, tell me what's on your mind.
It occurs to me that we're really good at not sharing where we are in terms of, if you are in that low energy, uncomfortable, unpleasant quadrant, we hide that from everybody. And I think that ties into what Stephen talked about last week, that we can't get any help from people around us if we hide where we are.
One of the things I love about that book, I don't know where that book landed, but it's Mark Brackett's Permission to Feel. I'll show it on the screen a little later. It takes courage to tell people how you really feel. It takes some skill to even identify it, to really locate, to locate really, where am I? I'm discouraged. To locate it, to find it, takes some time. It takes some real courage to share that with people. And many of us come by it honestly. If we didn't have an upbringing where our feelings were really safely heard, or it was really modeled for us, then we might have learned, I better keep this negative stuff to myself. Yeah, so I like this comments about discernment. I think you said, don't you choose who to share that with? Yes, and there's some wisdom in that, right? If we share in a place that's safe, is this a person who can receive my sadness safely? And we become what we practice. So the less we share, the less we share. The first sharing of how you feel is usually the hardest. It's like, oh no, it can feel terrifying. Like, what if this person rejects me? Or what if they try to correct me? It can feel terrifying if we're not practiced in it. And discernment, absolutely.
Yeah, Dan, it was really good when somebody shares trying to fix them.
The comment was that men are very good at, when somebody shares, trying to fix the other person. Yeah. I like the question. As you're sharing, are you looking for solutions, support, or space? Yeah, everybody's different. So I heard support come up. So you know what you're looking for in a share, support. Everybody's different. But very seldom do people say, I want to fix. Sometimes does somebody want to fix?
There is no fix.
I want to play a game with you if you're willing. Are you willing? Okay, I have my scarves. And I like to use the example of traffic because if not all of us are driving, we've all had an experience of traffic, right? So you're going to come on a little journey with me, if you will. We're going to approach traffic from these different nervous system states. I'm gonna start with blue. I feel like Toro, but I guess it would not be blue for. So from a blue state, you get in your car, you've got low energy, it's not very comfortable, bored, sad, you're driving, somebody cuts you off, and you go, again. What do you say from a blue state when someone cuts you off in traffic? Well, now you're talking red. Yeah, you're talking red. Hold that. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Kind of Eeyore, right? Here we go again. That's what Eeyore say. Here we go again.
That's a blue
Yeah.
state. No, blue,
And
and I say
everybody's favorite. You're in your car. You've got high energy. It's not feeling very comfortable. They cut you off, and you. It's a benign audience. I mean, sometimes people gestures, profane gestures. People are saying, not doing them. Yeah. Special prayer. I'd love to hear your special prayer from Red. It wasn't exactly a prayer. You could guess that. Yeah, right? Like, you might even think you're going to chase him down and give him a talking to.
oh no.
What goes around, come around. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, what if we're behind the wheel and we're driving and everything's going my way. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Right? Everything's going your way. Life is good, you're happy, and someone cuts you off and you're like, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, better you than me. Yeah. But it doesn't razzle you the same way. Different experience in your whole body. You know my tool for to be in yellow when I'm driving?
That's when
What
Randy.
I always say to when my kids are in the car, I say, ooh, I bet they have to poop. Better let them get ahead of me. They like that one. And maybe you're in green. Maybe you're in green. So you chill, man. It's easy breezy day. Everything's easy. Someone cuts you off. Yeah. 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 So this nervous system state can really drive the story of the world around us. State drives story.
Stack is when things are not.
Can we turn it up a notch? Who was that? Emerald? What do you say? Cooking with fire?
Walker, that's the last thing I can
Where
take.
let's start with red.
And just like
If you're willing.
Again, it looks like I'm
What's-
going up to you, and I'm just really someone else that it's
Get
extreme.
in red. Let yourself get in red. High energy. If you're close enough, you can see my nostrils are flaring. Did you see that? Did you see that? Yeah, my nostrils actually, like I can feel them flare. High energy, it's uncomfortable. Use some words. You're angry, you're nervous, what's the story now if we're not in traffic, but we're with the diagnosis of Parkinson's? Here we are, Parkinson's. What's the red story of Parkinson's? Anxious. Apprehensive. Pissed. About anything in particular? Pissed about everything. Yeah,
these are, I think this is a lot of people that have just been diagnosed. You're not pissed enough, trust me.
Yeah. Put and add it to the list. Allow your mind to go into it. We're not going to stay here. Allow your mind to be with this and notice in your body what's happening in your bodies. Your face, your brow is furrowed. And I don't want to make anybody self-conscious, but I saw tension in your body. Anybody notice tension in your body as you start to? Yeah. Let's step out of it. I'm going to shake. You can shake with me. Step out of it and let it go. Low energy, unpleasant. What's the blue story of Parkinson's? It's all true. There's some depression. Worry. I heard worry. Grief. Sadness. Why me? Surrender. Mm. Seeing kind of victim, sadness. Notice your body in the blue state. When you really think about Parkinson's and blue, what's happening in your breath? What's happening in your body? You can just shout it out. Notice. It's not judgment, just noticing. Yeah, there's a lot of shoulders falling forward, kind of a shallow breath, someone said.
Breathe deeply.
Yeah, that's the blue story of Parkinson's. It's all true. We'll let that go. We'll shake a little bit. And now we're, yeah, shaking. I'm like, that's dust yourself off and start all over again, right? Yeah, yes. And then so yellow's that high, pleasant energy. Is there, or what is a yellow story or perspective about Parkinson's? It could be worse. Mm-hmm.
Bad anomaly, something like that.
Hmm. The yellow story.
Carry on, so.
Sounds like there's some hope in your yellow story about. Yeah. And she's saying to come up with hopeful or come up with something new. Yeah. Research is the yellow story of Parkinson's. I'm hearing hope in that.
Your friend Greg likes to say, I'm going to make Parkinson's sorry it ever met.
What? Wow. It's like a focus. That's a focus. He said, I'm going to make a friend who said, I'm going to make Parkinson's sorry it ever met me. Maybe not in a threatening way, but like, I've got this. There's some capability in the yellow story or other yellow story. Motivated. Yeah. To meet it head on. To take action. Mm-hmm. That's the yellow story. Yeah. Doing what you can, taking control of what you can. So it sounds like to me. Yeah. To stay active. Yeah, high energy, meet it. I'm hearing a lot of like, I'm approaching it, not as a enemy maybe, but as like, okay, I'm going to deal with this. I've got this. Or at least in this moment, I've got this. Nobody has it in all the moments. I don't think. I'd like to meet them if they do. Shake that a little bit. And any green stories of Parkinson's? This is low, calm energy. Is there any green story for you in Parkinson's?
No.
Mm-hmm. Grateful for the gifts. Any gifts you want to name? Grateful for the community or the people that you've met through. Mm-hmm. So there's been Parkinson's has provided opportunities for giving and meeting people. Other green stories. Counting your blessings. Mm-hmm. Any blessings you want to speak of? Family. Yeah. That can be a green story for some folks to see where are my people and how are they showing up? It can also be a other color story for people. But any other green stories? Oh, grateful for medication that calms your tremors. Mm-hmm. I don't have Parkinson's, at least not that I know of, or not yet. It's not a current part of my interpersonal life. So I can't imagine exactly what it's like to live with Parkinson's.
It's shitty.
But I do know what it's like to live with illness and loss and fear and anger and worry. I have a green story when it comes to Parkinson's to share with you. I was the world's most impatient person. I really struggled with patience. It was really my Achilles heel of all things, patience. And somehow the universe or God, or I don't know who conspired, but they landed me right in the lap of Margaret Shankman, who's the #1 Parkinson's researcher. And from the very first day of my career, she was my mentor, and it was not an easy path with her. But I worked with people with Parkinson's. And I don't have to tell this group that sometimes with Parkinson's, there's slowness, there's bradykinesia, and there's slowness. And my younger self was not patient. It wasn't. I'm not proud of it. It's just true. And I grew to a depth of patience inside of me for myself and other people easier than myself.
I'm
That
trying.
I don't think I could have ever found. And I'm sure both of my parents in heaven are so grateful. I told you I could get patient. I'll do it fast. So there's green stories in here. There's yellow stories in here. There's red. There's blue. And I just encourage you to get curious about your state. Get curious, not furious. Get curious about your state. Even telling the truth to yourself about where you are, just naming and talking about it a little bit, waking up in the night with a lot of red energy, that is the first step to having some choice and control over those kinds of energies. I'm going to pause there. I could talk forever, but if there's any questions, I want to hear them from any of you. I'm pointing this way like they're all in the computer over there.
When Leon and I were talking about finding our numbers, and this kind of alludes to what I think Judith was talking about, I gave my numbers before I looked at the words. And then when I mapped my word, I said, well, that's not my word. I don't think that word fits me. So do you think that's, just that we feel like the label doesn't fit, or is it maybe a misunderstanding of where we're actually sitting? How do you feel about that when we kind of look at our word and say, no, I think that's not right. Something's off with this picture.
Oh, I think it could be just that it's off. Maybe it's not right. And then that same level, just get curious. So like, oh, well, what words do feel more accurate? Now, sometimes I'll share with you, sometimes we have a story about a word. I've met many people who've said, well, it's not okay to be sad. Some people were raised or lived a life or ascribed to her for whatever reason. I don't know. It's individual, where they're like, oh no, I'm not sad. I'm just tired. I hear that a lot. I'm just tired. I'm not sad. But if we build some trust and get a little more curious, it's like layers of an onion. Maybe there's sadness there. Maybe there's not. Also, I'm gonna take a risk and say this, but also anger, in our culture, particularly women, I think that's changing a little bit, but many of us were raised in a generation where we weren't supposed to be angry. I was raised like that. I was raised, well, be pleasant. Be pleasant, Robyn, be pleasant. Well, I'm angry. So sometimes, Sarah, sometimes it's just not the right place or whatever. Get curious. And one layer of curiosity is it okay for me to be whatever word I think doesn't fit? Maybe there's some resistance to that. Maybe. Curiosity wins and kills the cat, but also brought him home. Yeah.
We are not the same today as yesterday or tomorrow. And so those maps are going to be different.
Yeah, Judith, the first part of that was some of this is that we change from day to day, and I think we change from moment to moment. I mean, if you even re-look at the chart now, you're in a different place. I am. It's absolutely natural. We're going to move, we're going to change. We might have some landscape we live in more often, but it's not the whole story. There's another story. You turn the corner into another minute and there's another story. Absolutely. When we know where we are. The question was, isn't that part of our wholeness? Absolutely. Yeah. If I hear you right, you're saying, isn't this part of our wholeness? Isn't it okay to be everywhere? And a resounding yes. I think it was Peter Singer, who's an American psychologist. And his saying is, if you're okay with everything, then everything's okay. And if you're not okay, this is my what I've added. And if you're not okay, that's okay too. You get it? So if you're okay with joy, and you're okay with fear, and you're okay with sadness, and you're okay with a blessing that comes your way, then everything's okay. Yeah, wholeness would be okay with everything.
And it strikes me too that we have control. We can move in and out, right?
Mhm.
So if it is unpleasant, there's something even if it's just recognizing I'm there, and then I can choose not to stay there.
Yeah. And just even the act of noticing where you are is the first intervention. And as soon as we notice, things change. There's no guarantee of where they're going to change to, but they change. It's beautiful. Other thoughts, questions, feedback, noticings?
Just me again. So do you find that there's different techniques for moving yourself along the energy line versus along the pleasant line?
Yes. Yeah. And, and some of that's really valuable work to do, one-on-one, but absolutely, energy, things like, if we're in low energy, activating the body, stomping, skipping, shaking can help us lift our energy. When we want to move into pleasant states, drawing our attention to pleasant things is a very helpful tool. I call this glimmers. I didn't make it up, but noticing pleasant things and really noticing pleasant. So Sarah, when we're focused on a negative thing, our brains in 2 seconds encodes a negative memory. 2 seconds, somebody looks at you in a way that feels judgmental, and 2 seconds and you have a reaction. And it's in memory, not at a conscious level, at a subconscious level. 2 seconds, it's almost instant that we can be in a negative vibration. It takes about 12 to 14 seconds for a positive, pleasant emotion or memory to encode into memory. So it's not fair, but that's how it is. So when we want to move into pleasant states, one exercise that I like to give people, I say, look for the glimmers, look for the green in your life all day long. Notice everything. These flowers, they're purple, they're beautiful. Purple flowers. And now I can imagine how purple flowers smell. So we're exercising pleasant, positive circuits in the mind. That's an example.
Things that have been preached about is an attitude of gratitude. An attitude of gratitude.
Yeah. There's such a thing as toxic positivity. And when we can be sincere and find gratitude and things that we're grateful for, there is a mountain of evidence in positive psychology that this changes your brain. The practice of being grateful changes your brain. The practice of being grateful that changes your brain changes your body into a more relaxed state. That changes your ability to remember, to think, to decide, to connect with other people. The evidence-based practice, gratitude, writing it down, saying it to someone, private in your head, however you do it. You all look very thoughtful. She said, what you think about, you bring about. Yeah, where your attention goes, where your appreciation goes, things grow. Love it. So true. So true. Take a minute, if you will, and see if you map out again. Notice how much energy is in your body. Doesn't matter. There's no judgment. It's just what it is. How much energy? 1 to 10, low energy, medium energy, or high energy. Things change. And then find your pleasant level. Low pleasant, medium pleasant, high pleasant. Just notice. How things may be moved for you, or maybe they're in the same place, and that's okay too. On your handout, you have a place where you can give this some thought, just for yourself. Challenge by choice, you can or do it or not. But it's a nice exercise to sort of notice what's happening in my physiology or my body in these different states. Maybe the breath is more shallow, like Meredith said, in blue, and maybe, good to see you, and maybe your breath is more rapid when you're in red. Or maybe I have a habit in red physiology. I used to bite my lip when I was in red. But just for you to think about and notice. And then for time's sake, I'd love to just hear maybe 1 to 3, something you want to remember or a takeaway. Just 1 to from the group think, not from everybody, of course. But if anybody has a takeaway or something they want to remember before we wrap up. You can the comment was you can consciously move yourself from one energy level to another. Sounds like choice. 1 or 2 more, if you're willing. A takeaway or something you hope to remember.
I like the idea of assessing your energy and your pleasantness sort of as separate variables, and then thinking about which one maybe needs more adjusting.
So the idea, can they hear you when you? Okay, okay. Great. So the idea of like, okay, my energy might be high or low. Maybe I want to move my energy, or maybe I'm feeling that I want to move pleasantness from side to side. 1 more? Naming it to taming it, to acknowledge the feelings so you're not holding it in your body. And that act of naming it to tame it, giving it breath, that's activates your relaxation system too. So naming it to tame it. Not always easy, but when we practice it, just like anything else, those bicep curls, right? 5 pounds hard at first, you keep naming it to tame it, naming it to tame it. You start to get pretty fluent and agile with practice. Thank you so much for sharing your time today with me, your attention today. I want you to give yourself really some credit. I mean, to come, to be here, to be open to these conversations. You did some internal training, whether you realize it or not. You asked some hard questions of yourself. Not about where you were. It doesn't matter where you were, but you did it. And that's the win. That's the real win, to get curious about this kind of thing in yourself. So thank you so much for your time and attention. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Robyn.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for being here. We have some feedback forms. You can fill out the feedback form virtually by clicking the link in the chat. If you're here in person, please tell us what you think. This will help us with future programming. So we really appreciate your feedback and we appreciate you all being here. I don't know about you guys, but I have some really good ideas for when I'm sitting in traffic and I'm in this zone, which happens often. Some really good ideas. So
Go
thank
yellow.
you. Go yellow. Go
Go
yellow.
yellow.
Now I know what to say when my 3-year-old's in the car. Oh, they really must have to poop. Okay. Well, thank you, Robyn. We'll have to keep this discussion going. So, all right.